Welcome to Destiny Massive Breakdowns, episode 291. I'm Legola Flash.
And I'm Ill Physics, and we're here with another deep dive into Destiny 2.
And this week, we're going over all the world drop weapons for Season of the Seraph. But before we get to that, a lot has happened this week. We got so much Lightfall news, so much Strand stuff, and there's more every single day. We're just going to talk about the Strand stuff here for a little bit. But before I even get to any of that, I want to talk about my week for a second, because I just got done with that Iron Banner grind, and that was something else, man. That was something else. Just
truly.
Going for the shader, like, I feel like that was the most difficult thing that I did all season, I want to say. Like, it was just a lot of grinding.
Okay. So was it difficult because it was just a like an extended grind, or was it difficult because of the meta? Okay,
it was just the grind.
It was just a grind.
And I just I didn't mind being there. I wanted to be there. There's just so much to do towards the end of a season where you're like trying to wrap up, get all your crafted stuff. I need more Umbral energy to craft the final weapons, you know, and I'm just stuck in Iron Banner, like trying to get this one shader because it looks cool. I want the chainmail.
Surely you're leveling up weapons in Iron Banner. What do you mean?
Oh, yeah, I totally remembered to craft everything and bring it in with me. No, but that's the other thing, is you got to wear the Iron Banner stuff, you know, and I got to wear my exotic, and I got to have fun still. So.
I like that you put that last part there, and I gotta have fun still, you know, like I gotta.
It's a part of the game, right? But then also, while I was doing that, I did get to try out. I'm working on a video right now that's every single fusion rifle in the game ranked before going into Lightfall, and so I just was rotating out fusion after fusion, like, what do I think about this? What about with this roll? What about with that? And then I got all this Lightfall news too. But how's your week been, man?
Man, it's been kind of crazy. I was about to ask you. You said that, and I was gonna say at least there's no power enabled, right? In Iron Banner, so you can actually like test out and play around with all of those fusion rifles. So that's kind of cool. I thought that was definitely a great change. For me, man, like, I mean, there's always stuff, you know, but we did something different this week on stream, and so my folks made a request. My community made a request that I didn't necessarily see coming. There's quite a few like Gambit fans in my community.
Ooh.
And so they were just like, yo, Tony, put up a donation, you know, ticker or whatever. Whenever we get it done, what we'll do is we will end up fulfilling that, you know, that donation, you know, drive or whatnot with Gambit Labs. Labs. And so Labs is what I call, you know, my community's branded scrims for improvement focused PvP. But my community wanted to do some Gambit Labs, which wasn't necessarily so much about improvement as it was about just community and us spending a Sunday together and playing some private matches of Gambit. A lot of Gambit sweats came through, but a lot of my community came through as well. Yeah. And I personally love Gambit. I love Gambit. It's like probably my favorite place to be in Destiny to just chill, because I don't really chill in PvP for the most part, especially on stream where everybody's expecting me to frag out 24/7, and I don't, by the way, and I don't. But you know, Gambit is just really chill for me. I just appreciate it so much. I prefer, because I am invading every day in PvP, I prefer to be a collector, or, you know, if folks are familiar with, I'm not an invader. I'll do it if I need to, and if I need to, we'll get that done. But I would 100% prefer somebody else to take that role, and sometimes I'll just I just won't go. And then if I'm playing solo, nobody goes. And I'm with that. Honestly, I don't care whether I win or lose. It's a vibe. It's a vibe, and I really enjoy it. And I really, by the way, miss Gambit Prime. Of course, I was referencing, you know, by Collector and by Reaper, Invader. And there's one more. It was something Sentinel, right? I believe it was Sentinel.
I put it all out of my mind already. I'm just like, it's old and gone. I've got so much new stuff.
Oh man, I played so much, especially because around that time was when Spare Rations, the much beloved,
of course,
150 lightweight goat hand cannon was out, but the drop rates were, drop rates, and the RNG was, RNG. So yeah, I played plenty of Gambit Prime, and I really, really enjoyed it. It was kind of my first real experience, and maybe a bit of the progenitor in Destiny 2 for build crafting. With the Reckoner armor. That was really, really cool. And so yeah, I just like to. Man, I just want to reap. I just want to slay out. I just want to get on my Stormcaller, put on, what is it? What's that helmet? The Stormcaller helmet. I can't remember. It's got like the crown.
Crown of Tempest.
Crown of Tempest. Yeah, Crown of Tempest. Get my Risk Runner and just kind of vibe. Kill a bunch of enemies. Bank some moats. Guardian. And like I said, yeah, just kind of like vibe out. So
it is fun.
That's what we ended up doing. That's what we ended up doing. It's Gambit Labs, and we'll probably do it again. But it was a hell of a lot of fun, and I appreciate folks for recommending that. So
that is awesome, man. And
it was fun.
This week we also got Merc, previous podcast host here, was on Firing Range again, talking about some of the changes that they did, and it was cool to see all the changes that we talked about, the pulse rifle changes, and everything else that implemented, how happy the team was with the way it's all going, because we talked about those 2 weeks ago, and then Merc came on Firing Range podcast, and he was like, I feel like a lot of these changes are going over pretty well on that show. So that was cool to see, and everybody on that cast was pretty happy with it as well. But he did mention a few things that I was like, is this getting addressed? And it was cool for me to see Teraba addressed, because I'm like, that is becoming definitely pretty prominent, and it has
especially
been,
with Rumble back.
Yes, exactly. But what worried me, and some in the Destiny Master Breakdowns community on Discord will be happy about this, but I think that was where he mentioned something about a rapid fire fusion, them looking at it like, oh yeah, we're looking at those. I was like, please no. I've been there. I've seen that version of Destiny, and I know but after thinking about it a little bit, I was like, okay, there is stuff they could do if they wanted to improve it a little bit. They could give them a lightweight intrinsic frame or something like that, where they can move faster, because no fusion rifle has that ability right now. Or they could, it doesn't have to be the ways you think of fusion rifle being good. It doesn't have to map. It doesn't have to do all this other fancy stuff. They could just instead do one of those changes where it's like the lower end of stability and lower end of range is a little bit stronger, where it's like your maxed out range, you're still hitting the same distance, but like the lower end stuff is a little bit better. Things like that. So I could see them making minute adjustments. I just really like, coming from a fusion rifle player where all the fusion rifles line up right now in their archetypes, there feels like a give and take to them all, and there's not this one wins everything all the time. At least for the most part. There's a few perks, but for the archetypes, basically, I like where they are right now. So a little worrisome, Merc. Don't scare me too much.
Well, what I love and what I tell folks, in my community as well, whenever they, are concerned is, these folks are very, very creative. A lot of the perks and the synergy that's come out in the past year in particular is just, it's surprising, it's new, it's fresh. And you can tell that a lot of thought and intention went into it, right?
Totally.
So, things work out in ways that, we don't necessarily expect so many times over the past year, with regards to, like I said, perks, weapons, mechanics, reworks as well. And like I said, also in ways that folks aren't necessarily expecting, but things that we end up enjoying or finding rewarding in the post term. So yeah, I have faith, particularly in Merc, particularly in the weapons team, particularly in Chris Proctor. So yeah, we'll see where that goes. Now, what I will say is we have some notes right here, folks, and what. Lego was just like, I'm worried about rapid fire fusions, but then kind of just glossed over, the fact that Merc is happy with where pulse rifles are. And I'm going to go ahead and say the pulse rifle's still going crazy. They still going crazy, man.
Really?
I'm telling you.
I'm curious what you think about that.
Okay, so let me go ahead and just put a, kind of a qualifier on it too. I'm on PC, where a lot of folks are on M&K, of course, and the recoil is different. And so I'm not going to lie. I get 2 bursts by run-of-the-mill high-impact messengers a bit more frequently than I'd expect. Rapid-fire pulse rifles also seem to be a bit rangy, but I don't know. I've certainly seen a usage on those drop pretty significantly. Now, I'm on PC, and the recoil is generally less impactful, so maybe that's some of, I don't know, what I'm seeing, along with the meta still settling. And, what I will say is maybe that it's the map rotation and the fatigue from seeing Vostok and Midtown a few too many times, while Javelin and other mid-range maps, like some sessions seem lost in the winds of time. More balanced map rotation by keeping in mind the type of weapon usage typically seen on those maps could help to actually mitigate some of that fatigue. So it could be less about where pulse rifles are currently and more about my anecdotal experience within the current map weighting, whatever that may be. So
Right. And do you think any of that had to do with Iron Banner and the control zone play type where people are playing more defensively? Because I've noticed that game mode is just very passive in general anyways. And so I don't know. I didn't necessarily experience it as much this week, and maybe that's why I feel like everything feels pretty fine for me in that regard. But it is, I'm really glad to hear your take on it, though, because I hadn't experienced that.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with everything you just said with regards to Fortress and it playing a little more passive. It playing, I mean, there's no kill board, right?
Yeah, I
know. If ever there was a mode where Bungie de-incentivized getting into engagements, it was that mode right there.
The opposite of Eruption, right?
The opposite of Eruption, 100%. So while, I could have some thoughts about that or whatnot, it's not that big of a deal, honestly. It's not that serious. I don't really care. But yeah, it does play kind of slow. And you're right. It probably does have to deal with the fact that I put in a decent amount of time. But I will say also, I got my shader because I'm a content creator and I stream full time. I got my shader the first time that Iron Banner came around.
Oh, man, really?
Yep.
Okay,
grass was nowhere to be found that week.
I went pretty hard, I felt like, and I still I know I'm making videos and doing podcasts and other stuff too, and I don't stream, but still, I played a good amount and still I only got 1 reset in, and then doing the next reset, it took several nights this time as just the dad gamer time that I had, and I was just like, man, it just took some time, but I'm not complaining about it.
You're normal. You're normal. Let me just say that again. Everybody just you are a family man. You are a dad. That is normal. I am not. I jump into the Crucible. I tell people all the time, I jump into the Crucible and goats come through my chat and they're just like, yo, Tony, I'm going to hop in queue for, queuing up Iron Banner. I'm like, yo, come through, do whatever, you know what I'm saying? And, so we just,
what it is?
Get them done.
That's the other thing is I played solo the whole time.
Yes,
I never joined up, and it goes so much faster when you're with a team. And 100%. I honestly should have done that. I just, at night sometimes I just want to chill, and that's what it ended up being for me. But
most definitely.
Dude, you just reminded me is that Rumble came back from the time, it was the day after the last. Oh my God. Dude,
this dude in Rumble. I ain't never seen anybody more excited about Rumble than this dude right here.
I put 4 resets in within the first week or week and a half. It was at least got 2.
You just completely invalidated your Iron Banner argument.
I know. It's just.
What happened to your kid? Is it real? Is it real?
Okay, I swear.
I've never seen the young one. I've never seen your partner. Oh my God.
Man.
But I have seen your number 1 Rumble.
What's funny is I'm not even going hard. It's just the enjoyment factor. What I was talking about with having fun with the game. It's so much fun to just go in. I don't have any team that I'm trying to pick up that I don't have to care about doing good at all. I'm just in there to test stuff and have fun and try combos. And if there's a guy running around with Teraba, that's fine. I'll leave him on that side of the map and I'll play this other side.
Exactly.
And I'm having a good time. It's great.
You said it. I do hope that folks heard that right there because that's the way that I've I've come to both appreciate more and also change my expectations with regards to playing Crucible, whether it be Trials, whether it be Comp, whether it be Quick Play, Iron Banner. I don't care, if I see a Titan, you know what I'm saying, like just kind of wave it at me, bagging behind like an overshield barricade or something like that, then baby, you do you. You know what? You do you have fun. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to go over here and I'm going to see if I can get into a hand cannon fight, but I'm going to try not to. I'm going to just let you do your thing, baby. You know what I'm saying? I'm just glad everybody's having fun.
Yeah, for sure. That's exactly where I'm at. With all of this, before we I really want to talk about the Strand stuff, but we want to introduce kind of like a new section because we've had a lot of feedback on we'll say something, we'll get hype in the moment. We're like, actually, it needs to be adjusted this way, or we'll find out new information. And so we're kind of introducing this like corrections and updates section where if we said something in the last podcast or if new information came out about a perk, we can kind of like address it here. And so first off, like right off the bat, I want to say for this last episode, or maybe it was 2 episodes, we covered Tripwire Canary, and it was a weapon I was really excited about as a lightweight bow, but something really interesting happened with it where we found out, thank you to Iridium and Mazakumo in Bow Science at the Destiny Massive Breakdowns Discord, that the ambush intrinsic trait that all the seasonal weapons have actually gives faster draw time to bows, pushing past the 500 millisecond floor of lightweights and giving it, like, it makes it the fastest bow available. There's nothing that can hit faster than it because it gives it, basically, the ambush intrinsic trait gives it basically what Vice Stinger does in its current state, but with no RNG, you just get it off the bat. So that's 15% faster draw time, which equates to about 430 millisecond draw time. And Oath Keepers, which this is really weird, I didn't know this, like, we'll push it even further to 410-ish millisecond draw time, which I knew that Oath Keepers would push a bow faster, but I didn't, once you got past the floor, it, like, keeps going, which is just crazy. And I
didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And all of this stacks with Archer's Tempo and Successful Warm-Up because those are multipliers to the speed, and so you can just stack it and stack it and stack it. And it is the fastest bow out there now, and especially the fastest bow out there at base. Like, you can just do this. And I knew it felt good because I had mine set up to the 500 millisecond floor, and I was running the ambush intrinsic trait as well, but I was just doing it for the extra handling. I didn't realize that I was getting a faster draw time. I knew it felt snappy, but I was like, oh man, this is awesome. So yeah, I just had to bring that one up. Thank you, Iridium and Mazakumo. That's really cool that ambush does that.
Yeah, and that's why we call him Legoless Flash, by the way. Legoless Flash.
Oh gosh.
All right, so we got what do we got next?
Well, the only other thing I wanted to mention,
I'm waiting for this one.
It's just that I feel like we owe an apology to Offhand Strike, right? Like, we
at this point, yeah, I've seen the videos.
We didn't dive into it. Like, we were just like, oh, it's a hip fire perk. Like, in my mind, here's what happened. In my mind, there was no way that something you fire from the hip was gonna fire further than something you ADS. Like, there was just no way.
Well, check it now. In our defense, we did mention the fact that shotguns in particular might benefit from that perk. We may not have delved into it, in depth, but we did mention it. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I'll go ahead and go over just what this does, and then we can talk about its implications in the weapons that we talk about later. But Offhand Strike, it activates on a kill, lasts 7 seconds while you're hip firing, and it gives you a 1.4 times damage fall off start and in distance. That is a huge bump.
That's hefty.
Huge bump. And then on top of that, plus 30 stability, 3 degrees precision angle threshold, minus 100% accuracy cone size, and minus 100% accuracy cone growth. What?
Yeah.
That
is juiced.
And,
that is
and
a
you can
juiced perk.
see it too whenever you specifically, I have it on Glacioclasm, the new version of it, and whenever you get Offhand Strike rolling, you can just look at the reticle and watch it just whoop into a little pinpoint, and you're like, wait, what is going on? And so all of this lines up with what you see on screen, and you feel it when you take the shot, especially for me on the fusion rifle, that minus 100% accuracy cone growth part. So when you fire the bolts, they just like stay in a straight line. It's nuts. It's nuts.
And you say you talk about the reticle changes, right? And it's just like, until I saw those new reticle changes in game and how they were subtly starting to change how I aimed and lined up my shot with, for example, my shotgun, I didn't really give much thought into how prominently Bungie was featuring current and future reticle changes in recent communications. I'm with you, though. I definitely appreciate it more now and look forward to how those changes evolve going forward.
Nice, yeah. Well, do you have anything else you want to hit before we go into Strand here?
I don't think so.
All right.
I'm excited. Lightfall coming, baby. Lightfall coming, baby.
Okay, we're obviously not going to talk about every single piece of information that's out there, but we got to talk about the Bungie official article where they go through what is Strand, what are the buffs and debuffs that come with it, what are the different aspects, fragments, and the melee abilities and the supers for each of these classes, because these are going to affect the Crucible in really big ways, and I'm sure most of you out there are going to want to hear our thoughts on it all. So I figured it'd be great to talk about this before we run into the weapons. The main thing that stands out to me above everything is just the emphasis on APM talk, the actions per minute. And the reason why this stands out to me so much is because I watch a player like you, Tony. If you go to Physics Twitter and you watch the way he plays with a hand cannon and a shotgun, and he's whipping back and forth, and he's going from this player to that player to jump into setting up his next, trip mine or smoke, whatever it is. Like, it's so many things action packed. And if you're not at that skill level, you'll never attain those actions per minute to feel that fun factor of the game when you're operating at that speed. But what this sounds like to me, Strand, is they're taking those actions per minute and allowing everyone access to it. Like, here's the way you can grapple. Here's the way you can grapple onto a thread, throw the thread, grapple onto that thread, get your grapple back, go down, slam the ground, suspend everyone next to you, reload all your weapons. Like, it's everything just back to back to back. And not saying you can't do that now. I just feel the emphasis on it when all the devs are talking about it and when they're explaining everything. And it gets me hyped, man. I'm hyped to play this stuff.
Yep, 100%. And let me just add on to that, actually, because I was just having this discussion, the fact that, like, Destiny PvP in particular, but just Destiny in particular as well, is such a special game because the movement is so accessible.
Yeah.
Like, think about that. Apex is dope. Apex is like one of my favorite PvP games ever. Titanfall 2, same thing.
Yeah.
But the way that Bungie balances movement with gunplay, for example, the way that they make it impactful, in engagement outcomes, but in a way that, the average player can see what's going on with that and can generally, with enough experience, of course, as well, to a degree. But, we're talking about hunter jumping. We're talking about strafe jump. Everybody's going to get that. Everybody understands what that is.
True. Yeah.
It's accessible. Everybody understands. Everybody's shoulder charging. Everybody's, shatter diving. These aren't, it's not complicated. They make it accessible. They make it, clear. And folks understand off the rip with a lot of these movement mechanics, exactly how to use them and how it becomes to their benefit. And so I love, just across the board, how they're just continuing to double down on things. Double down. We spoke about doubling down on perk synergy, especially since Witch Queen came out. We talked about doubling down on, a few other things and whatnot. But of course, them continuing to double down on ensuring and emphasizing the accessibility of the movement in Destiny 2 and how you can chain movement in Destiny 2 to your advantage is just so cool. So cool.
Totally with you. Well, let's dive into these debuffs and buffs that they listed out here, because this is the part I was so interested in. I was like, are they going to release it? And then they did, and here we are. The debuffs that we got Suspend, Unravel, and Sever, and then we got a buff called Woven Mail. So the debuffs: Suspend, in PvP, a player is lifted off the ground but can move slowly and fire back. Okay, I hate that I'm pausing right here at the beginning, and I wouldn't do it if I didn't see the article that everybody was circling around that mentioned basically like Bungie's aware that stasis was a problem when it came out, and they're very much hoping that Strand is not a problem for PvP in the way that stasis was. But in that same article, it mentions that there's like, oh yeah, well, you can shoot back. It's not like you're frozen, but it says from the hip. Like, it specifically says you can shoot back from the hip. And I'm like, please. I mean, I'm not saying that's like terrible, but I am saying like it's like, of course that's worrisome to just be like, but it's also like I'm torn. I really am torn because I'm like, it would be interesting to add a new aspect that isn't the same as the other stuff we got and that makes you think about your build in a different way. If it's like, well, at some point I might just have to hip fire, and what does that mean for my build? But the scary part on the flip side is how easy suspend appears to be to activate. Like for a Titan, there's a barricade ability where you just put it in and you can sever or suspend people out in the distance. And then for hunters, it's literally, instead of shatter dive, you have basically a suspend dive, and where you slam everyone suspended next to you. That's one of the aspects we'll get into. And so I'm like, is that too free? Is basically the question I'm left with.
Look. Everybody, come on. We all know the expectations. Strand got to drop hot.
It's got to.
It's going to be spicy. It's going to be spicy. And so, like, if we just measure our expectations, recognize that it's in the benefit of us as a community, Destiny as, you know, as a game, to make sure that folks are engaged and involved, get new folks to come into the community and come hang out with us and enjoy, you know, a game that we love so much. I'm about it, you know, and I've said it before as well. As long as there's some coded, you know, some strings of code in the background, you know, that they could just pull and unravel, you know. Strand, you like that? You like that? You like that, Dad? All right, cool. And unravel, you know, like some of those, you know, extra spicy chicken wings that are about to drop. You know, that following season, or, you know, halfway through the season.
You know, that's good.
I think
that's good. I forget how fast the team is now too.
Exactly.
With all these updates we've been getting, and they could drop it hot and reel it back like really fast before it becomes a problem in like trials in a few weeks after the release. So that's a good point.
Doesn't even and trials doesn't even come out. You know, like off the rip. I'm not even playing PvP. Like, so many of us are not even playing PvP for the first like 2, 3, 4 weeks. So let's have fun, people. Let's have fun.
Yeah. Okay. Unravel. Attacking someone who is unraveled will cause threads to burst out of the target and latch onto other enemies, unraveling them as well. I really like this thing, and this was the thing I was looking for. I was like, what is it going to have that's like the jolt or the ignite or the, you know, the thing that like spreads or like continues to do damage? And this reminds me of the way Jolt does that, like, ticking damage and stays on them and then goes out when you continue to damage them, because this is you have to be attacking them and the threads burst out and it spreads. So maybe not like as powerful as Jolt on the specific in general to the other targets or to the main target, but it looks like it like spreads like poison almost, like to everything around it. And I don't know how that's going to play out for PvP specifically. But
we talking about that corruption? Is that what you?
It kind of. It's just called. I don't know. We'll just have to see. I don't see how this one's gonna play out in PvP, but I like the way it sounds in PvE.
Well, I mean, how is that so much different? I guess from volatile rounds, for example.
Well, volatile rounds will do that like explosion right off the gate, like when you hit them. I don't think this is gonna be like that. It doesn't sound like the explosion to burst out to other targets is gonna be like, it sounds more like poison than damage. Like, it sounds more like something that will continually damage people over
like
time.
Like a smoke that okay, I got you.
And really,
interesting.
I think what'll play out here in PvP is if there are other aspects or fragments, sorry, I should say. We only have like full access to seeing like 4 of the fragments that they've let us see here. And I think that that there's a chance that some of them might go off of Unravel. Like if a target is unraveled, then blank when you shoot them or blank when you kill them. And so that could be interesting in PvP.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what enhancements, are carried for Unravel and some of these other, seemingly impactful. Yeah, that's the word I guess we'll use. Seemingly impactful, like impactfully spicy perks and mechanics. But like I said, pretty excited to check it out when it drops.
And then Sever's the last debuff, and that severed enemies have reduced damage output basically. So that, it's like a version of Suppress, but instead it's just less damage, which is cool. And that's one of the ones, some of the melees will do this. I think it's the Titan one. We'll get to it. But some interesting stuff here. The main one I think that is gonna rock the PvP world is the buff, the Woven Mail, an armor buff that will only reduce damage taken to the body, but head damage and melee damage will continue as normal. Tony, what do you think about that one?
Oh, I'm not even worried, baby. This hand cannon tap him up, baby. We don't do nothing but hit heads, baby. I ain't worried.
Oh, Pick so me, this baby. Is a nerf to me. That's what you're saying.
Crazy.
This is the dad nerf.
Man, you know what? We said we weren't going to talk about anything but Strand. So I'm going to just let it sit until the next time. Because, Ward of Dawn about to get nerfed, and they are gonna start taking that precision damage, baby.
Yeah, there's been a overall just real emphasis on the precision, like rewarding you for your accurate gameplay, and I really like that. I really like
it as well.
Yeah, Woven Mail just seems really well done. I am scared for what it's going to do to all my fusion rifle archetypes and any setups that I currently have, but even shotgun players are going to suffer from
shotguns.
This.
I feel like shotguns are going to get hit maybe even harder.
Yeah.
I mean, shotguns are in a great state right now. They really are, in comparison to where they have been over the last several months.
Yeah.
But I mean, shotguns are they're still risky, pretty risky, as someone that's had quite a bit of experience with them, over the past several years, of course, but also, I've been getting in work with a bunch of different barrels and, subfamilies, et cetera, so I can give some feedback over the last several weeks. So yeah, I'm definitely, I mean, when an Overshield Titan comes up, by the way, everybody, it's still a war on Titans, just an FY. But when an Overshield Titan comes up, I love y'all Titans, I'm just messing around. When an Overshield Titan comes up and, I pump them, if I don't got an aggressive on, man, it's lights out for me and my little hunter at, but. Well,
it's interesting, though, because I'm already starting to combine stuff here in my mind, thinking about Suspend and the dive bomb that hunters do now and can do that. And I'm like, well, if the other player just has a shotgun, that's an easy just whip out the shotgun, hit fire, they're dead, potentially defensively. But there is, I believe it's an aspect or maybe it's an exotic for hunters. I'm trying to put all the pieces together in my mind right now, but where when you use your grappling hook, you get Woven Mail. And then you do your dive bomb, and then they're suspended. They try to defend themselves, but you got Woven Mail, and they can't hit a precision because they're hip firing. Potentially this is kind of theoretical, but based off of an official article. So I don't know. It just sounds like things could get crazy.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, things are gonna get crazy. Yeah. It's just
which we want. We want it to be crazy.
Yeah, of course. I'm with it. I'm with it. Things are gonna get crazy. It just depends. Is it in a way that we're anticipating, or is something that we're gonna completely gloss over?
Yeah.
Is that the craziness, or is it something that Bungie's holding back from us to surprise us? I mean, I think it could be all of the above. And like I said, I'm just looking forward to it. Oh, one thing I'll say as well is you said that Sever, right? Severed enemies have reduced damage output, kind of like you said it was gonna be kind of like a weakened suppress.
That's just what I said. It's not. That's just what I'm comparing it to because I don't know what else. It's so new. But it doesn't really. It's its own new thing. It doesn't really compare to anything other than that's a debuff.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess what I was about to say about that is, I kind of, if it is you know? And I like the direction that Bungie, this kind of adds on to what Bungie's doing with regards to changes to damage resist and also to, relatively free damage buffs, stuff like Radiant, is just make them less impactful, but maintain their accessibility. And I kind of like that.
Yeah.
You know, folks have access to it, but it's not so impactful that, it's massively changing the TTK on a variety of different weapons and subfamilies.
Yeah.
You know, you still got to hit your shots.
That's
you
a
still
good
got to hit
point.
those crits.
Dude, I never even thought of that. That's really good. Just the Uno reverse card on the Radiant kind of could be. We don't know what the Sever debuff is, the actual percentage is going to be, but that would be interesting if it was just like an exact. Rather was like, oh, you're going to use that? Okay, I'll use this. No problem.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's actually really interesting. Yeah, most definitely.
I really like that. Okay, now on to the broader picture of broader. We've been in the broader. We're going down to specific, the different classes, Warlock, Hunter, and Titan. But I kind of want to hit, I know I could do these individually, but it's kind of interesting to think of all the melees at once. And so for Warlock, they showed it off in the trailer, but it's got a 3 times magic melee thing it can do called Arcane Needle, and it looks so sick and really lays down that theme of the actions per minute because you've got so many available to you. And the same thing with the Titan. You got 3 times in that melee as well, Frenzied Blade. The Hunter Threaded Spike, it doesn't have the multiple. It's the Hunter Rope Dart that you throw out and bounces between enemies. But even though there's only one, you can catch it at the right time and if you catch it just at the right time, it gives you an extra boost of your melee energy back. So there's all these mini games just within
and
a melee.
Secondary mechanics, tertiary mechanics. Yeah. It's very cool. It's very cool.
I really like all of that. And just a little, I feel like very Destiny massive breakdowns of us to point out that surplus, and I didn't even know this until this week, actually. I feel very dumb for not knowing this, but if you have multiple grenades, like Armamentarium or something that keeps multiple grenades, it counts those 2 grenades towards surplus. So Tony's ahead of me here. He knows what's going on. But skip ahead, this Warlock melee, this Titan melee, having 3 stacks of it, just sit on that one melee will give you surplus times 3. That's incredible for some weapons out there. That's really good.
That's why so many folks end up running Stasis Hunter in particular with a surplus shotgun, a surplus, sniper rifle, because you have 2 melee charges sitting right there, right? So, Same
2
thing
melee
with,
charges that you don't use very much.
Okay, even if I use them, am I really are they useful? Okay, cool. But yeah,
you can slow down a shoulder charge person. That's good at least.
If it hits them, I am right, bro. We're not gonna get into this.
Oh,
all right?
Yeah, we're gonna go down somewhere bad.
I need more aim assist on my babies. They don't do much in the first place. Just give me a little bit back.
Okay, let's talk about these aspects that we got here before we move on to the supers, and then we'll kind of call it quits on all the new Strand stuff and get into the weapons. But I think these aspects are really interesting. The Warlock ones, we've got Weaver's Call, which on Rift casts the Warlock weaves 3 threadling eggs, which hatch into threadlings when they hit a surface. Any perched threadlings are converted to additional eggs. So all the terminology here is very creepy. And if you didn't read the article, dude, did you read the article about them?
I read part of the article, and honestly, I kind of stopped when I saw this.
No, it gets worse. It gets so much worse, y'all. If you're afraid of spiders, you need to stop right now and just skip ahead 5 seconds. But there was a version of this where the Warlock turned into a spider and crawled on all 4s in the Crucible. Oh my gosh, dude.
No.
Yeah. Mm-mm. So they nixed that idea because, arachnophobia. But
of course. Yeah. Thank you, Bungie.
Oh, man. It sounded terrifying. But I like how there's these little creatures. They're your pets that, go along with you, So, I don't know. It sounds very fun for those who want to take care of some threadlings while they play the game.
the macabre out there.
Oh, yeah. And then the second one is Mind Spun Invocation. This aspect improves several of the Warlock abilities, and it lists the grenades here. I'll go through them later, but it changes the grapple to when you execute the grapple, the Warlock weaves 3 threadling eggs from the target. The threadling grenade, it makes it to where you can consume your threadling grenade to generate a full complement of perched threadlings that I guess sit on you and wait to attack enemies. And then Shackle Grenade, you consume your Shackle Grenade to gain a buff. I actually really like this one, creating suspending detonation on every kill. So we saw this in the trailer where they got it, and at first I thought it was a weapon perk like, Firefly or something, and then it exploded the suspend. But no, this is a Warlock specific perk where you eat the Shackle Grenade, then any kill you get suspends targets nearby. So it's like, think Devour, where you like get Devour and then go out and keep healing yourself, but this time you suspend everyone next to them. And it's like betting on yourself. I'm going to get rid of my grenade, take the bet on myself to get the kill and how good I can be, and then just go on a tear. And I really like perks like that. Like really like the way they're doing a lot of this betting on yourself with the Woven Mail. If you can bet on yourself and go against that player and hit all your headshots, you win. If you want to bet on yourself and eat your grenade and go off and suspend all the targets next to the kill you got, do it. Like that sounds awesome. I love this direction.
Yeah, I completely agree. And check a couple of the other things too. Kind of just the iteration on the feedback that they received from the 3.0s and the fact that Titans, for example, and I'm not knocking it, I'm just saying this is feedback that I've heard quite often. And I'm just glad that you're validating it. I don't want to be the only one saying it, but the fact that Warlocks ended up losing Arc Web, for example. They ended up losing the ability to eat their grenade, in order to use their grenade on Well of Radiance, like a Solar Nade or something like that, or eat it and heal, right? Devour, eating your grenade for Devour as well, kind of losing all of that. And everything that you just said with regards to, Mind Spun Invocation, the aspect that improves several of the Warlock's abilities. Like I said, folks were a little bit salty about the fact that they lost a few things on Warlock, and now Titans have an aspect that improves their grenades. Typically Warlocks have that kit that enhances their abilities, right? That's their thing first and foremost. So yeah, I just like the fact that Bungie is listening to that feedback, and it's clear. It's clear to me, at least it was clear when I read this, that they're listening and they're iterating on that feedback.
Yeah, totally. And then the last thing with this class, I'll just go ahead and run through the Warlocks, is the super's called Needle Storm, which is basically missiles that stick onto enemies and the environment when you shoot them out, and then before detonating, they reweave themselves into an army of threadlings that will hunt down any survivors. So basically, you're the bug master with this Warlock class. I saw
you didn't even say what you wrote down here in the notes.
I saw somebody on Twitter. They called this Bug Barrage instead of Blade Barrage, and that is just excellent.
It's chef's kiss, 100%. I completely agree. But I will also say this whole description for Warlock Broodweaver.
Yeah,
is a horror film.
It is.
This is straight out of Halloween.
They made it's funny too, because they made the design of it and all the trailers made him look, with the headband, made him look all ninja almost, and then he's like waving his hands like a magician. But then when I see it in action, I'm like, no, this is like Scarlet Witch and like manifesting creatures from nothing, and yeah, it's scary stuff.
Yeah. Hide your kids.
And then now let's move on to the Hunter. We got some aspects for the Hunter. We kind of hit some of them already. Ensnaring Slam, we went over this one. While in the air, press the in-air move input to slam downwards, suspending all nearby enemies. I feel like we covered that one enough. And then they got Widow's Silk. This aspect grants an additional grenade charge. The Hunter's grapple ability creates a persistent grapple tangle when it latches, which fully refunds grenade energy when grappled to love that. Hunters can use this ability to set up chains of grapple points for their entire team to use, greatly enhancing their ability to quickly move around in combat or traverse the environment. At first, I was thinking about all this in PvE, like skipping raid points and stuff, but then I was like, you know how fast people get to like B flag sometimes or a capture zone? Yep. You could have a team of hunters just putting out all the points for the rest of their team, like maybe 3 of them, and they're like the traversers, and they set up the waypoints for the rest of the team to follow on their tangles. I'm still getting used to all the words here, but the tangles. And so, I don't know, like, I can't imagine a Crucible where there's people flying around on ropes, and it's so difficult to imagine in my brain still.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you know what I like about this when I read it, the fact that right now, at least me, my personal experience, I feel like Hunter is just slow. It's slow. You got Titans over here. Every Titan can shoulder charge, move around.
True.
You got, Shiver Strike on, the melee for Stasis Titan. You've got Icarus Dash on Warlocks. You got Blink on Warlocks as well. I mean, of course, you got Blink on Hunter, but who's really using that, I mean, I'm not knocking it. It's niche. I love it. I blinked all through D1. But just saying, I rarely ever see a Hunter. I've seen one Hunter in the last probably month using Blink. And so, they usually do get to points of interest on a map faster than anybody else, Titans in particular. And then, Titans in particular, or Warlocks, I suppose, as well, but Titans in particular can set down a barricade in order to block off, that point of interest and bunker down for the rest of the team. Like I said, Rifts as well on Warlocks can do something similar. So it's just nice. It's just nice that Hunters, get something that we can actually get to those control points in a similar time frame, because we've been definitely lacking on the speed, so it's nice to see.
Yeah, and then they got a super too, Silk Strike. It basically lets you grapple as much as you want. Your rope dart gets more powerful light attacks to shoot at enemies, and you get extra damage if you hit them right at the tip of the rope dart as well, and then you get your heavy attack that does a spin move like in a circle for an AoE effect. Sounds pretty great, very mobile, very fun. I can't imagine myself not starting with a different class than this. It sounds so fun.
Yeah, most definitely. And you got to expect, because especially because it's on Hunter, man, Hunters have the most artistically beautiful supers in the game. I'm just going to stand by that. Arc Strider, Spectral, it's absolutely gorgeous. So, I'm expecting that this is going to be fantastic as well.
We didn't even mention Ensnaring Slam when we were talking about it earlier, where you do the air move to put yourself downward and suspend everyone. They talk about it in one of the, I don't know if it's the interview or something, but that's the you do the front forward flip that they show in the original Lightfall trailer, off the building. It looks very Into the Spider-Verse. That is this move, and it's going to look so cool, man. I can't wait for the movie of the weeks that are going to come out of this thing. It's going to look so good. Can't wait. Yep. So you're spot on with the look of it all, man. It's going to be so cool. The one that people are not as excited about is the Titan Berserker. And I don't know, I'm curious how you feel about it, because everyone else online is I feel like Titans got, put down a little bit with this one, the way that maybe people felt about Arc Warlocks did, like we were just talking about earlier. I feel like that's what people think about Titans this time. They're just it's just melee. But I've seen several tweets from the different devs saying that they put a lot of effort into not making it just Titan go punch and that's it, but it reads as Titan go punch and that's it. So I'm curious if you took anything out of it just in general from the Titan other than that. I like that the super Blade Fury is it's a more powerful version of the melee, but what interested me was the heavy version suspends enemies and then you can catch up to them with the light melee, and I thought that was kind of cool. But that's really the only thing so far that's really stuck out to me.
I guess what I have to say about that really is, a comparison to Stasis Titan. You could say the same thing about Shiver Strike. Right. Oh, it's just a melee. But if you actually see if you hear the description of it, but then you actually see what a Titan, especially like a skilled Titan, is doing with that Shiver Strike, whether it is to engage or evade. Yeah,
that's a good point. I
can't really. You know, I'm thinking a little bit deeper about it is all I'm saying. I expect that it will be something that is not just viable, but something that's incredibly unique in the way that it looks and operates.
Yeah.
Like Bungie is very good about ensuring kind of separation of, I mean, there's a reason why, you know, unfortunately, but it is what it is, right? There's a reason why Titans aren't getting our Icarus Dash, for lack of better words, Icarus Dash, double dash chest back, right? What is it called again?
Twilight Garrison. Dude, rip me, man.
I know, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring it up. And, you know, I was a Twilight Garrison main myself as well. And, you know, I've mained Icarus Dash for a long time as well.
Yeah.
But my point is, you know, we can expect something really, really cool, nice, unique out of this ability and just out of the super in general. I think we should just kind of, you know, just wait and see.
It is a dash forward, like you said, and just thinking about Shiver Strike and this being a dash forward, and you got it 3 times.
It's going to be fast, too. I guarantee you it's going to be fast.
Good. Yeah. Okay.
Just think about how stasis drop with regards to Shiver Strike and the super as well.
True.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good. I don't think that Titans should be disappointed quite yet.
And, you know, we haven't even read the aspects yet. The Into the Fray and Drenger's Lash. So Into the Fray, destroying a tangle, weaves woven mail onto the Titan and nearby allies, so not just yourself but your allies. In addition to reducing damage taken, this aspect also increases Titan's melee energy regeneration while wearing the woven mail. So once you get it, then you get those melees up, which are 3 of them, even faster. So it's like you said, it could be really building into that. And then Drenger's Lash, when the Titan casts their class ability, okay, this one is pretty strong. The Titan will blast forward a powerful ripple in reality, suspending enemies that are caught in the shockwave's path. And we saw this in the trailer, and it was like 3 different lanes that went out and suspended the enemies. That seems pretty strong in PvP. Like, probably more strong than the Hunter's Dive.
Oh, really?
Yes, because this is the sole reason. This is the sole reason, is because you're not within that range of them being able to immediately respond to you, and it's harder for them to get out of if they're stuck in a lane. It's basically the lane destroyer is what it feels like. It's like, oh, you ran in that lane, let me keep you there, and then easy shots for me.
Yep, and let me bless. Keep in mind, so the melee on Arc 3.0 Titan right now, you know, I rarely ever see folks use that to the best that it can be used. I've a community...
Ballistic Slam, yeah.
No, I'm not talking about Ballistic Slam. I'm talking about the punch.
Oh, Thunderstrike.
Oh, Thunderstrike. Thank you.
Thunderclap. Thunderstrike.
Yeah.
Thunderstrike.
Thunderclap. Thank you. Thunderclap, right? And there's a few friends that I have that are very good with it. My point is you can actually shotgun, just like a shoulder charge, you can shotgun and you can immediately come out of that shotgun with a directed thunderclap.
Right.
And it one-hit kills. You know? It one-hit kills. And so I anticipate that this mechanic right here will be something similar, which will likely be broken out the box. Spicy out the box. But you know what? Yo, do you, Bungie? I'm gonna be in PvP. I'm sorry, PvE. Baby, I'm gonna be in PvE. Let's get it. Let's get it. I'm trying to take out some thrall. Let's get it.
Well, we already talked about the grenades, the grapple, threadling, and shackle. We didn't really say what the base version of them do. The base version, we know what grapple does, but threadling, grenade splits into 3 projectiles that weave into threadlings upon impact. So it sounds like that would be extra good on a warlock who kind of doubles down as the threadling parent. In general, and then shackle a bunch of. This is the way I think of it. It's worded differently if you don't know what the words mean. It's basically a bunch of balls stuck together that detonate a suspending blast and sends out smaller secondary bunches of balls that suspend nearby enemies. So it's just like you just chunk this thing and it just blows up into a bunch of different pieces. But suspending blast, I think, is the important part here. So I'm wondering if it's not going to do that much damage.
That's likely
focus on the suspend part, which will be cool.
Yeah.
I like that. It's like a version of a Dust Field nade, maybe tighter, but more of an effect on the other player. So that sounds cool.
Yeah, agreed.
Then the 4 fragments here, and we'll move on to our weapons here. The Thread of Ascent this is basically demo at home. Everybody's calling it out online. You activate your grenade ability and it reloads your equipped weapon, grants increased weapon handling and airborne effectiveness for a short time. So an auto reload of your weapon for just throwing your grenade, and you don't have to have demo on it. And if you're on a hunter, you could have your reload dodge as well. So that's like 2 free reloads for nothing. For your abilities, but still,
of course.
That's pretty cool. And you can still use your grenade for whatever the grenade intended purpose is. So that sounds really strong.
Like an afterthought. It's kind of just icing on the cake.
Exactly. But I feel like that could save my butt a lot in PvP. I can't tell you how many times I'm running something and I'm not completely thinking about my grenade in the situation. I just want to have the ammo available because I'm getting pinched. Like in Trials of Osiris, you nail down one guy, the 2 other guys are coming by, you nail the second guy, you're out of ammo, but you picked up ammo like for a shotgun fusion. Then I could just throw the nade, suspend, come back with ammo. I'm excited for that. It just
hero moments.
Yeah, it even goes back to the actions per minute thing. If you're lined up in a scenario like that, you have the tools to keep your flow going. I like that a lot.
Yep.
Thread of Fury, damaging targets with a tangle, grants melee energy. This other stuff's kind of basic. Thread of Finality, finishers generate threadlings. That's only in PvE. And then Thread of Warding, picking up... this one is very interesting PvP. Picking up an orb of power grants Woven Mail. Now, what's interesting about this is right now, Warlocks can pick... Or not Warlocks, Void players in general can pick up an orb and get devoured, and
I feel like
nobody runs it. Why is no one running that? That's so powerful.
I run it.
Yes, and as you should.
With the Gerfalcon build, it's crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm curious how many people actually run this, because I don't see as many people as I feel like should run the one for Devour. Is that Echo of Starvation, I think? And so I feel like Threat of Warding, I hope and also don't hope to see this in the Crucible, because I don't want more people running around with this being harder to kill with my fusion rifle.
Well, the trade-off here is that it's not as easy as activating a barricade, for example, right?
Yeah.
Especially with the cooldowns that we've had in the past and the very minimal investment in those cooldowns that we've had, and still have to a degree, of course, until the global ability changes. But we can't generate orbs very easily anymore. I mean, basically just comes from supers. It's rare. I mean, I guess folks do rock Harmonic Siphon, but you actually gotta get in gunfights, you know?
Yeah.
And get those rapid kills and, play with intention and also build with intention a little bit as well. So yeah, especially on top of if they end up, which almost certainly they will, end up giving a negative stat to that particular fragment, I don't think it'd be as problematic. I mean, it may be problematic on paper, but I don't think it'll be, I don't think we'll see usage rates go crazy with it, is all I'm saying. Just like we don't see usage rates even for Devour to pick up an orb, because I'm pretty sure that actually gives you a negative stat.
That's a good point. They didn't talk about any of this with any of these aspects, and fragments, and we could easily see stuff like that. So very good point. Well, I think that wraps it up for Strand. Before we get to the world drops, just one last thing. We want to thank all the Guardians that have pledged on our Patreon, that keep the lights on the show. Seriously, thank you so much. And especially to our ongoing sponsor Guardians who give on a massive level every month. We want to thank Bryce Veroni, Moonlight, Binary Wolf, Deacon, Black Hammer Tech, Shazzle, ASCII and Monk, This Moment, and Zen SoCal. Thank y'all so much. Seriously.
Yep, and if you would like to support the show, please visit DestinyMassiveBreakdowns.com and click on the link to the Patreon. You'll get access to a members-only channel in the Discord. That place is wild. Behind-the-scenes info and input on the future of the show, plus access to our legendary annual merch drop. As a reminder, you can also earn a shout out by leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Ratings are great, but the reviews really help us spread the word and get more ears tuned in every week. And so we have a couple of 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. One is from, One is from someone called Rated. a quote unquote low 4.
But they rated a 5.
No. It's somebody from my community, and so he's referencing how we end up rating folks, are the levels for folks in labs are branded scrims.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's inside joke, but nonetheless, I appreciate it. Rated. You guys are killing it on the podcast. Definitely one of the best parts of my week. I love getting to hear about all the cool builds and guns you guys are running from week to week and how they're working with the current meta. Keep up the great work, and remember, Tony, wake up. Thanks, Rated. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's great to have you folks, and I just appreciate folks enjoying the effort that we put in each week, and the effort that we put into making better content from week to week and from episode to episode as well. So
and coming into our own, really appreciate it.
Most definitely. We've got one more 5-star review as well. This one's from Zach, also someone who frequents my community as well. Such a great show. These guys put on such a great show every week. The synergy between them is really amazing. So much insight from two players with different styles, truly bringing something to the table for everyone. Can't recommend this show enough. Keep up the amazing work, Ill Physics and Lego. It's Lego and Ill Physics, by the way. It's Lego and Ill Physics. Please subscribe to Lego LaFlash on YouTube. Lego LaFlash. That's LegoLeflash. One of the best content creators. Came out of nowhere. It's crazy. Came out of nowhere and is just killing the game.
Oh man, thank you, Tony,
folks.
and also thank you everyone for the 5-star reviews. That is very nice. We really are working hard to make the show great every week. I know that it has been a transition from Kit and Merc, but we are doing our best to uphold those values that they brought to the show and just give you some great insight into the Crucible and some great weapons, which we're gonna jump into right now. We got all the world drops. We got five of them actually, and then we're also going to go over an exotic too before we get to the dungeon weapons and the last few exotics next week. But for this first one, we got the Lobrock C, and I'm just going to let Tony take this one over because he's been itching to talk about this weapon every week, and I've been putting it off, and he's like, Lego, when are we gonna do it, man?
It's true. It's so true. Sometimes yeah, it's so true. I love this weapon. I've been talking about it a lot. I brought it up quite a bit on Twitter as well. Lodbrok C, a Hake kinetic high-impact auto rifle, 360 RPMs, 0.8 TTK, 100% accuracy, and 6 crits. It's got higher end of range handling, zoom. It also has the highest stability and recoil direction in its class, but it also has lower aim assist. So these are just things that, stand out amongst high impact auto rifles similar to it, right? So you've got Cascade Point, ends up moving it to a 600 RPM within a 0.5 second TTK at any resilience.
Excuse me, what? How fast was that?
I did kind of gloss over. You're right. Let me back up and say that again. Did y'all catch that? Cascade Point moves this to a 600 RPM, but with a 0.5 second TTK. Any resilience. That's them Titans.
Oh, man. And it's perfect for Titans, too, with the Hake intrinsic giving you that 30% extra damage to barricades. And I just feel like this thing was made for shredding Titans. And we talked about it a little bit whenever we had the Dawning SMG and it got Cascade Point, and we talked a little bit about how Cascade Point works. It lasts for 2.5 seconds once you swap to it and have it active, but you get it like Harmony, like you get a kill and then you got to swap to it, but you can stow it for 5.5 seconds before you swap to your Cascade Point weapon. And the scaler on it works different, whether it's a machine gun and submachine gun versus a sniper rifle, shotgun, auto rifle, or grenade launcher. And it works out, and this is so weird. You would think the submachine gun from the Dawning would be faster, but really it affects this auto rifle more. And it makes this auto rifle so fast that it kills in the same amount of time, the same 0.5 seconds as the SMG did with Cascade Point, which is crazy to me because Lodbrok C has so much range. It's at the higher end of range. Like you said, it has great zoom, and that is just so crazy for an auto rifle to get 0.56 second TTK. Yeah, that zoom is 19. By the way, the only thing higher is false promises at 20. So I just feel like this thing slays out. It feels great.
It does.
And Cascade Point is just my favorite thing ever. I love it so much on this. So I had to harp on it real quick.
Of course. And I can't gush about this gun enough. Kudos to Bungie as well. Recently, buffing high impact auto rifles on the stability side of things, I believe. And Lego's right. It just feels great. And with perks on it, in addition, with perpetual motion and other perks that just make, enhance the feel of the gun and the gunplay. And then you got Kill Clip moving it to 5 bullets, 4 crits, and a 0.67 second TTK, also at any resilience. It has Hake Breach armaments, just like Lego sets. We're breaking down shields. It does 30% extra damage to barricades. You need 10 shots to max out dynamic sway benefits, but I'll still take it. Lego said he'd take it. I'll definitely take it. Dynamic sway reduction is one of the best perks in the game for consistent gunplay, especially if you're, playing with spitters, right? Auto rifles, pulse rifles, things, SMGs, even sidearms, of course. Just getting out consistent, accurate shots out of something that's firing at a high RPM, right?
Yeah.
Relatively high RPM.
Yeah, and it's not like, I feel like I'd still go for dynamic sway on this one because it's still that accuracy cone size and that minus accuracy cone growth that I really care about when I'm taking those shots. I want every shot just to get, not to have that accuracy cone growth get so big, and it just feels so
totally
good
fair.
no matter what kind of automatic submachine gun or auto rifle that I'm using. And so in that way, I'm going to still use it on controller. I could see somebody on mouse and keyboard maybe going, like you mentioned, perpetual motion. That was the perk that stood out to you. And I totally understand somebody wanting to pick that perk over dynamic sway because it might not be as beneficial to you. But I feel like I'm going to go for dynamic sway any chance I get.
No, of course. And think of it like this too. I'm a hand cannon guy, right? It's just like, think about additional stability on the hand cannon, right? On the actual stat versus selecting something like rapid hit versus selecting something like slot shot, specifically for the benefits of the stability. If you've already got great stability on the stat, then of course, go crazy with, perpetual motion, something to, make the gun feel better. And why I reference that is, the higher the stability that you have on a weapon, the better consistent accuracy you're going to have. Like, you're going to be able to fire your shots more accurately at closer to that RPM. I'm explaining that correctly? Is that correct?
Yeah, no, I get you.
Yeah. And so my point is, I completely agree. Dynamic sway reduction is completely valid, 100%. Whether you've got buku stability on that Lodbrok or not. But yeah, if you do not feel that is something that's necessary, then it's totally valid as well. Just to make your gun feel a little bit better with perpetual motion. Perpetual motion also gives you some stability as well. So
yeah, that is the one tempting thing about it, because when you set this thing up, it's easy to max out the range and it's more difficult to max out the stability. So that's why I'm like, I see the benefit, but whenever I run dynamic sway, I just feel like I don't need the extra stability most of the time. Even if I'm not getting the max benefit out of it, I still feel like it's beneficial enough for me.
No, of course.
I do want to talk about target lock for a second on this one. I had to wrap my brain around target lock. Thank you, Rock DC, and also Mossy, who added some additional information. But Rock DC did the original Reddit post and has been in the Destiny Massive Breakdowns community breaking all of this down for us. But also, quick shout out to these two for also helping out with the spreadsheet changes that are coming up for the Destiny Massive Breakdowns official spreadsheet. We've got a lot of people in there now working to get some of the math updated. You've noticed if you log in recently, the new glaive is up there, I believe now. And so there's lots of new stuff in there that wasn't there before that I've been afraid to touch myself because I don't know this spreadsheet as well. More of a podcast host than a spreadsheet creator. Sorry to disappoint, but thank you to everyone who's jumped in to do that. So target lock. Target lock activates once you've hit 12.5% of your magazine as crits, and those crits have to be within zero point 0.2 seconds of each other. That sounds kind of crazy, but basically as long as you're hitting crits with an automatic thing, you're good. The mag perks and backup mag affect how many crits you need. So if like you get extended mag, then it takes the 12.5% of your total with extended mag. It doesn't like help you get to your buff faster. But conditional perks that multiply the magazine do not change the crits needed. So if you have overflow, triple tap, stuff like that, it still is only 12.5% of the original mag. It doesn't count overflow, which is good. That's saying that those are good perks you want on this. So yeah, interesting perk. And then it gets even more weird because it has different levels, 5 different levels. And so those are listed out. Once you get 12.5% of the mag, you get a 16.7% damage buff, all the way up to times 5 of the perk, which caps out at a 40% damage buff. But to get to that times 5, you need to have depleted 110.33% of your mag, which, if you haven't noticed, that sounds impossible because it's 110%. But what you need is those conditional perks like overflow and triple tap to
Perk
reach
synergy.
that amount of damage. Yeah. But okay.
Exactly.
Breaking this down for PvP, you will never reach that. Like, that is nearly impossible unless there is some trick you're doing to get all crits. That's not going to happen.
There are subscriptions.
Yeah, there are ways. And there may be more ways once Strand comes out. We'll see. But for now, you're not going to see those numbers. So with Lodbrok C, it gets really weird. You have to like add it all up, and thank you, Mossy actually had a sheet where he did this, and it was great because I could see that it was not worth it to run on Lodbrok C if the perk is operating correctly. A second weird thing that I'll get to in a second, but basically 4 crits to proc it, and so you have to remember it only takes 6 crits to kill, so 4 crits to proc it, and then your next bullet is going to do 41 damage instead of the usual 35, but you'd still need another bullet to kill. So basically, no matter what, it's 6 crits, whether you have target lock working or not. However, this is where it gets weird again, and where there's a bug, basically, where sometimes the perk will just activate off of your like first or second hit, and then you get all the 41 damage shots. And in that case, that at a certain resilience level, basically, you will be able to get a 5-shot kill just right off the bat. It'll just happen randomly. So all that to say, it's a weird perk. Sometimes it might help you in a very specific circumstance where it bugs out currently. But in general, once it is not bugging out, there's no reason to run target lock in PvP.
So I'll slightly counter that. Let's
hear it.
I love running around with this gun and pinging people and waiting for the 5 crit. It happens.
So with target lock?
I'm not with target lock. Yeah. I'm just saying when it randomly happens, it's fun. I'm not saying I'm gonna rely on it. I'm just saying
it's good to have confirmation for me because Mossy actually added to all his research and said this happens a lot. And so it's good to hear your experience of like, hey, I sit around and just wait for it because it does happen. So
yeah, and I'm not counting bullets, but man, you know when somebody died a little too fast, right?
Yeah.
And then you look on the screen, and you're just like, oh, what is going on right here? Yeah, it's fun. Lodbrok is awesome. Target lock is just a juiced focus fury, basically a focus fury for like spitters, for auto rifles, for SMGs, stuff like that. And it's a lot of fun.
Interesting. Well, I'm curious to see how you would spec this thing out if you were to like build your dream roll, because for me, I wouldn't build into kill clip. Like, I know there are a lot of people who will, because kill clip, dynamic sway, like that sounds great. You got the 5 bullets kill at 0.67 seconds, any resil like you mentioned, like that. That's really good. But for me, I use my primary weapons as like the backup, which makes Cascade Point perfect for me. And so I would spec this thing out with fluted for the extra handling, because we're going to hit the range no matter what. So fluted, ricochet rounds to give a little both stats to everything, to range and to a little bit of stability, dynamic sway, and then Cascade Point with a range masterwork and a counterbalance mod. So with this setup, I'm hitting 93 range I got dynamic sway for once I start landing in, and it has a little bit more handling, that 51 handling, to let me actually swap to it and scope in well enough after getting my fusion, sniper, shotgun kill, whatever it was I was using, and land those Cascade Point crits for the 0.5 second TTK. I gotta remind y'all, because what I'm picturing is, I'm almost picturing something even crazier than this in my mind, because the way it runs for me in trials a lot of times is I'll have my fusion rifle and say I'm running my Void Hunter, sneak up behind a team, I get 2 kills right off the bat with my adaptive burden of guilt, because that's how I roll, and then I swap to Cascade Point, got to finish off that last guy. And if I can do it in 0.5 seconds, then that is a dream. That is a dream.
That is a hero moment. That is a hero moment. And I love to see it. Love to see it. Yeah. And what was I going to say? Oh, I'll keep in mind as well, with the counterbalance mod, you get 100 recoil direction as well.
Yes.
This thing has like solid recoil direction at base, to the point where plus 15 on a counterbalance mod is going to end up giving you like 100 recoil direction.
Yeah.
So not only like between that and the stability buff to high impact auto rifles from Bungie, to dynamic sway reduction, I mean, you're just spitting. I would imagine even on a controller, you're just kind of like spitting.
I don't even have dynamic sway. I just have a Cascade Point roll, and it feels great. It's just a great high range.
I agree.
Feels good in your hands, shreds barricades with Hawkeye Breach armaments. I love it.
Yeah, I'm with you. Now you ask me how I would deck this thing out.
I'm just curious.
I'm with you on target lock. Why? Because I love my primary first, Lego.
Nah, he's staring at me a little too long, y'all.
I'm just messing with it. Lego has got me into fusions. I'm telling you, I've put on fusions more since I've known this guy. What? Yes. I'm telling you, those 2 fusions you told me about, that timelines vertex, that you confirmed for me, and then that burden of guilt.
Oh, you've been on it?
Burden of guilt. That thing is so good, man. So I'm sorry for the sideways, everybody. That burden of guilt is so good. I'm pretty sure that was the one that had like backup mag and like something else on it. Is that the one?
High impact reserve. So it was like pushing the extra ammo to do extra damage or something like that.
It was something like that.
Yeah.
And now don't quote me, people. All I'm saying is Lego suggested one, and that thing is so much fun because I'm a swapper, right? I'm a hand cannon shotgun swapper, and so to be able to just like whip it out. Now I'll say this as well. Sorry, everybody. I crafted that glaive, baby.
Oh,
I crafted that glaive, and I started leveling it up. I might be a glaive main.
No, shut up.
The swap speed is pretty good. And Cool Guy ended up putting a video out. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Did you see that? That video that he put out where he was blinting with that glaive on quick swaps between a hand cannon and that. And so while I prefer to get the one-hit kill or get the 3-tap with my hand cannon, or I don't choose to blint, per se, but it's a one-hit kill.
Yeah.
There's no blinting necessary, right? So it's just I mean, you can, I should clarify, you can spec into, you can build into the opportunity for a one-hit kill, I should say.
Right.
But it's just I'm excited, and thank you so much for recommending that.
That's good to hear.
Yes.
I like this.
To go back, and to not get off topic, we're talking about the Lodbrok C, of course, and we want to finish up with this so we can get on to the next one. Target lock, it's just really satisfying for me just to stay on ahead. I love tracking, whether it be with a hand cannon or whether it be with an automatic weapon. And target lock just kind of like doubles down on that reward cycle and just engages my, the chemicals in my brain basically, and you get rewarded for it, right? So I just practice my tracking, and it's just a lot of fun when you get rewarded, and it's fun when the perk engages at random and you just end up picking up a 5-tap, right? So. Between that, I love the gunplay feel. I'm on M&K, just like you said, which is totally valid. The difference between the two, the difference in the recoil between the two. So, and I'm always, for the most part, holding W. So, perpetual motion just feels amazing on primaries. Amazing. When they introduced that for IS Luna, like I just addicted to it off the rip. Otherwise, I'm with you. It has like great range, right? It's kind of like part of that archetype, right? Fluted barrel for sure. I mean, it gives you the most stats, out of all the barrels too. You get 20 total stats. You get plus 15 handling.
That's
you
the
get
part I was
plus
most
5
curious
stability.
about with you is if you would go that route with Fluted Barrel.
Yep, Fluted Barrel is probably my favorite barrel for the last, year. So it's a great barrel, and handling is just king. Handling is king, right? Cammy says handling is your TTK, and that's absolutely true. Other than that, yeah, the ricochet rounds, or I'd actually also take Flared Magwell, which is another underrated perk, especially if you end up going for Kill Clip, obviously, because it gives you plus 20 total stats, the most in its particular slot, and it gives you plus 15 reload and plus 5 stability.
Right.
Yeah, I don't really need the range on this thing outside of, I agree, I would either probably go for a range masterwork or I'd go for a handling masterwork, if I felt like the range was good enough for the engagements that I'm defining. So yeah, I'm pretty much right there with you.
It's cool to hear how similarly we landed on that one. I was really curious because you had so much experience with it and I had my own experience with it, but we landed pretty close. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh man, the Arvindil FR6.
He was waiting.
Oh man. Okay, I got some things to say. Because I got people asking me like, hey, how do you roll this thing? Okay, so the Stasis high impact fusion rifle, 960 millisecond charge time. Oh man, guys, the 1 second kills is 1.06 second kills. Okay. The 3 bolts up to 9 resil, 4 bolts after. If you're not familiar with the high impact fusion rifles, you can, get those 10 res kills if you're running liquid coils, but it's already so slow. Why are you going to put yourself through that? Just hit the 4 bolts. I'm not going to make it any slower personally. So this thing, it has nearly the lowest range stat and the lowest non-sunset recoil direction with very mediocre stability and aim assist. Also, there's no charge time perks. It's a high-impact fusion rifle that takes forever to charge, and there's no charge time perks. Bungie, why? I have it written in all caps right here on my outline. Bungie, why? Because that's how I feel about this weapon. You can have all, the stats you want, not stats. You could have all the other perks you want on here, but if you're charging so slow, you have to make it worth it. I'm doing that fusion rifle guide right now, so I have it in my head. And one of the things that I always ask myself when there's a high impact fusion rifle is, one, are there any charge time perks to help me out here to, make it bearable? Or two, if it is going to take that long to charge, is it going to be worth it? Am I going to map someone? Is it just going to be so clean? And really, that you're not going to map someone with this. There's no range perks. I already said nearly the lowest range stat. So there's just nothing here of interest to me. I will say I've spent a lot of time with this weapon, and it is one of the few fusion rifles that on a controller I felt that stability really paid off on. You're not going to outrange anyone, so I was like, why not? And so I ran with a chamber compensator roll for a little bit of extra recoil direction, and then I had a firmly planted outside of that, and that was basically all I had on it to make it any good. And firmly planted, God, makes a world of difference on this thing. If you're going to keep any roll, please keep a firmly planted roll, because it just, without it, I played around with one without it that was full on range everything, and I felt like the bolts, a random third bolt would just go up and to the left, and just like, what are you doing? Where are you going, dude? And so for sure, you got to have that firmly planted. So if I were to spec this thing out, I would go chamber compensator, projection fuse, firmly planted, and then I'd probably go elemental capacitor with a range masterwork. Elemental capacitor will just help you if you're running void. You can bump that stability up even more. So that's interesting that you got those 2 stability perks back to back, and this is one of the only fusion rifles I would recommend that on, whether you're running controller or mouse and keyboard. There is one other thing I want to say about this. I don't even think that I have the numbers written down, but I know it off the back of my head because it's just so crazy, is that you can actually, with Swashbuckler, which is the only current high-impact fusion rifle available with Swashbuckler. It used to roll on Glacioclasm, but it doesn't anymore. Swashbuckler, with that 33.3% damage buff, plus Radiant, if you're running a Liquid Coils Arvindil, will let every bolt hit essentially 99 a bolt. You can 2-bolt up to 8 resil. And that's just with so all you have to do on a solar class is just get a melee. Then you've got your Radiant up. you've got Swash times 5, and you've got Liquid bumping up your damage a little bit more, so you can hit 2 Bolt up to 8 Resil. It's pretty disgusting. It's really good.
That's not okay. That's illegal. That's contraband. Yeah, that's contraband. Okay.
Yeah, it kind of is. I didn't get that roll. I had one with it had Liquid and it had Swash, but it had a charge time masterwork that was like half leveled, and so I was getting like 98 a bolt or something like that, and you could only kill up to 6 Resil, and it was just getting funky, But what's cool about this roll, if you do get it, if you get Liquid Swash and you run Radiant and Shoulder Charge or do a throwing knife, you can get unlimited distance on this fusion with 4 bolts, because you times the damage like 99 times 4, and then you cut it in half. You could still hit 4 of your bolts at any distance and get a kill up to that same 8 Resil. Instead of hitting the 2, you just got to hit 4. So that's kind of gross. But it's
sniping.
Yeah, it's sniping. But it's so difficult because this thing has no range, and it just... it's so hard to recommend this fusion with its long charge time. If you are going to set it up, or if you are in a lower skill bracket, you can have leniency with that charge time and go with that firmly planted elemental capacitor roll. It could be interesting, but other than that, there's no reason to run this thing. There's really not. I don't know why it exists. I don't.
Well, I was telling you earlier that something's got to be bottom of the barrel. There's got to be like a bottom.
Yeah. I guess.
Look, man, I don't want Burden of Guilt to be the bottom, dog.
Well, I think
fusions are good.
I think this is what they were trying to do, is they were trying to make it a PvE one with Reconstruction and Chill Clip, because Reconstruction, every round that you get from Reconstruction post magazine doesn't... Like, it lets Chill Clip affect every single one of those rounds. And so that's cool, but who's using Chill Clip on a high-impact, slow-firing fusion rifle when you can get Chill Clip to proc on 2 shots from a super-fast Riptide?
Yeah, that's currently available as well.
I just don't see the reason.
Focusable,
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Exactly. So, I don't know. I don't know what the purpose of this fusion rifle is. These are my thoughts.
There has to be a bottom.
There has to be a bottom. That's the reason.
A bottom. Yeah, a bottom has to be defined. That's all. That's all.
Okay, I'll take it.
So my question is for you, and then we'll move on. Is like, how impactful did you feel like you were in this current meta? Like running around Rumble with that role, with firmly planted and elemental capacitor.
Here's the deal. You can get to where you can pre-charge this thing really well, but then the question is still like, why am I running it over any of the, like, there's plenty of, like, Iota Draconis is back in the Dares of Eternity pool, and that is much better than this one. Is crazy. You've got Wise and Rebuke that we just had from Iron Banner, which can get under pressure and successful warm-up, and that's so, oh my gosh, high impact with successful warm-up is just worlds above this. So yes, you can hit your shots, but your follow-up shots are going to suck. If you got 2 people on you, you're dead. I just don't. It doesn't hold up, is the answer.
Fair enough. And correction from me as well. That was the fusion rifle that you suggested that I love, was the Rise and Rebuke. I think I got Under Pressure and backup plan right on that one. Now,
yes.
I'm sorry, everybody. I actually deleted at least 2 Under Pressure successful warm-ups. Sorry.
No, that's okay. It's so slow. It would never fit your playstyle, I don't think. So
thank you. I thought the same.
Yeah, but that backup plan, that's the other thing. I was looking for backup plan right here. Like, it could have been great. We have a lot though, so I get not introducing it. But what if like Cascade Point was in here? How interesting would that have been? On a, like, you use your primary, you get a kill, someone's closing the gap, you bust out a fusion rifle. I don't know what the math would be, because we don't know the scalar for a fusion rifle, because it's different for every weapon. But say it shoots at a rapid fire, but it will kill you in 3 bolts. That would be crazy. That would be so cool.
Hold up. What about does this work if Cascade Point came in a separate column than backup plan?
Oh, see, I've done stuff like that before on Mid's Reckoning from the raid, King's Fall raid. It rolls kickstart and backup plan in different columns, and they do stack. But it's nearly, this bugs me so much. It's nearly impossible to hit. It is impossible to hit if you have the normal version, but if you craft it and have the enhanced version, there's like a window of like I don't remember I think it's like 0.1 second. It's so small. It's so small. Man. I hit it one time in a real game. One time I hit it. You bust it out and you're doing the 3-bolt no matter what. Or wait, no, with backup plan, it's different. I'm going to run in circles on this one because I don't have it pulled up. But it's super fast, and it's super rare, and it's impossible without enhanced, and that's what matters. It doesn't even matter in context because no one's ever going to hit it. I hit it one time for a video, and I was like, okay, I'm out. I'm done. That felt impossible.
Got you. All right, well, that's good to know. I mean, as always, like I appreciate, kind of like your knowledge with regards to fusion rifles because I know like nothing about them. Well, except that I like Snapshot.
Let's talk about something you do know. We got a scout rifle here. The Jararaka.
It's the
Jararaka 3 SR stasis vice rapid fire full auto scout 260 RPM with a 0.93 second TTK against 10 Resil. This one is interesting because every stat is low compared to everything else in the archetype. It just doesn't have the best of anything. And the only zoom that it's like a super low zoom value. I don't know what the purpose of this is, but the zoom is 20, which there is a zoom, another one that's a 20 contingency plan, the old world drop. The only thing lower is going to be trustee in that category at 19, which a lot of people like trustee. So maybe that is the point. Maybe you want lower zoom. On the other end scale of that, Servant Leader, the Gambit one, has 26 zoom. And Aisha's Embrace from Trials of Osiris has 21. So just to give like context for these rapid fires are kind of all over the place.
Did you just say that Servant Leader is 26?
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
That's a new definition of out of band.
Yeah, but it's also rapid fire. So it's like, are you just like really going for those long distance shots? If somebody closes the gap on you, you're kind of screwed. But I guess if you like the rapid fire frame and want to hit from a distance, that one, the Gambit one, is going to be where you want to be.
That's the one. That's fair. They never gave me, like a rapid hit, because you can get rapid hit kill clip on it or something like that, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Trust me, I love Gambit, like I said, and if I ever got that, I would definitely equip it.
You know what I was gunning for is just for PvE is I wanted Osmosis on it because I was just looking for Osmosis guns that could hit at a further distance. So if I'm running something with the Firewalker, Path of Burning Steps build, I could throw a grenade, use my scout rifle to build up Firewalker, then switch to an ultra powerful special weapon, whatever it is, that I had limited ammo on to use Firewalker on. So that was kind of like my idea for it, but I never got one to drop. So, what can you do?
What can you do? Go play Gambit is what you could do.
Well, this scout, let's stick with this one because I feel like it only exists for Headstone. I'm curious if you're going to prove me wrong here, if there's anything else. I do think it's interesting that this archetype, just in general, all you need is Radiant to take it up to a 0.7 second TTK with only 4 crits at any Resil, which I didn't realize it was that easy. I just don't spend that much time with that archetype, but pretty easy.
Somebody was telling me about it. I have a scout rifle main in my community, and they were telling me that this particular archetype was pretty sensitive, kind of like 180 hand cannons, pretty sensitive to damage perks. Reducing the TTK. So some damage perks obviously more impactful than others. So not all damage perks, but yeah. This is pretty cool about these rapid fires.
But that kind of makes me like flip it around and be like, well, why is kill clip so sought after on it whenever kill clip just takes you to the 4-shot kills when really just go Radiant and you get the 4-shot kills? I know kill clip's going to be more damage, but all you need is Radiant. You just need a little bump to get it to the 4 shots. So just something to think about for people, I think. And it made me rethink this scout because I had one roll with kill clip and now I'm like, do I really care about it? I feel like maybe I would want something else more. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. And what really grabs my attention is having Golden Tricorn because, and this is why, because kill clip, you could like go Radiant and then get the 4-shot and then reload, and now you got kill clip, but kill clip lasts for such a shorter amount of time. As opposed to we got golden tricorn here, and not for ×2, but just for ×1 as a method of keeping your 4-shot going outside of radiant, because golden tricorn is going to give you that 15% damage buff for 7 seconds. So you go radiant, and then you get your 4 shots, and then you got golden tricorn, and then you keep it going. I think there's something there. I think that this scout rifle could excel with a roll with golden tricorn. And then you got the stupid stuff like, if you really want to get golden tricorn ×2 going, which is near impossible to do with stasis, that's a 0.47 second TTK 3-shot. But you could also do that with kill clip. If you just combine kill clip with radiant on top of it, you'll get a 3-shot up to 6 Resil. It won't be any Resil, but 6 Resil, that 0.47 seconds. It would kill you, run around with 3 Resil.
100%. I was about to mention it, baby. I'm back to 3 Resil, man. They took my mobility. I'm back to 3 resilience. Yo, come punch me.
But no, I think that maybe I'm going back on what I said now, and I'm like, is kill clip worth it? If I could kill some of those hunters running around at low Resil, and all I have to do is have radiant up too. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I might have to play around with it some more. But what stands out to me initially is definitely the golden tricorn.
Of course,
it's just easier to keep it all rolling.
100%, 100%. And I'll just state it again for clarity. I mean, since the mobility nerf, especially at the high end, more of us hunters are definitely going to be running 9, 10 mobility. Right. Now, obviously, we got Rose back, so that's a lightweight, and we have some other lightweight options. But the point is, the resilience meta is calming down a little bit, especially for hunters. So something like that, 3-tap in
up to 6 Resil. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, any Resil if you get golden tricorn ×2 going, but it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna.
Man.
If I were to spec this thing out, I do think that recoil direction, it scares me quite a bit, of 57. So I would use arrowhead break to bring that up to 87. I'm probably gonna run high cal because this is a rapid hit and I'm hitting so fast. Probably gonna do arrowhead, high cal, perpetual motion, and then golden tricorn. That would probably be like the role I would go for with a stability masterwork probably. Actually, I take it back. I would do a range masterwork. I just feel like this thing lacks with the range. It lacks with the recoil direction. That's where I'm going to hit it.
I'm 100% with you, actually, because I've actually messed around with this subfamily of scout rifle before, and I always feel like they need a little bit more range, along with stability if they don't have it, but range in particular. They just feel like that hit detection, like that aim assist, that range all the way the far out is really beneficial. So I'm with you on a range masterwork. This thing has 19 handling. For a handling guy like myself, that's, that's not a lot. That's not a lot, right?
Yeah.
That hurts. But I'm not going to lie. I'd probably still put more range on it. I mean, it's a scout rifle, right? So, I don't really need, I'm all the way the back of the map, right?
Yeah.
And so, to continue to build into the power fantasy that is this weapon, I'd probably put Hammer Forged on it. I wouldn't want to give up stability, but I guess you could for that extra 5 range. I just never see the benefit of using full bore over Hammer Forged in most circumstances. In most circumstances. Now, from there in the mag spot, I feel like you got some interesting options. Basically, you got flared magwell. You've also got like light mag +5 range. What is that? Plus.
The +10 reload speed
+10,
too.
It's +10 reload speed on something that has 29 reload, and on top of that, the fact that maybe you want to build into kill clip, so you want some additional reload speed. Me personally, I like that flared magwell, of course, like I stated earlier, +15 reload, +5 stability. You've got ricochet rounds. I'd probably on this one maybe forego ricochet rounds. 43 stability sounds pretty good, and maybe go for like high cal. But knowing me, I'd probably go for flared magwell. Then I just love like rapid hit. I just love rapid hit. Get that increased reload speed per tap to the head. This is a precision weapon, just like a hand cannon. Also get the reload paired in with that. increased reload, increased stability. The more you build up that rapid hit perk up to 5. You've also got perpetual motion. And if you want to get heat rises on a warlock, you can get on that perfect float as well. You've also got synergy between what was the name of this perk again? Tunnel vision. You've also got synergy between Tunnel Vision and Kill Clip. Tunnel Vision, reloading after defeating a target greatly increases target acquisition and aim down sight speed for a short duration. So those two perks synergize together, right? Upon reload, within 6 seconds of a weapon kill, 20 aim assist, minus 20% accuracy cone size, and some degree of handling as well. So, I guess the last thing that I'll say about this is because I just like to hit heads just to hit heads, and just to always be practicing, tracking and things like that. And so, me, I love Focus Fury as a perk. I know that it probably isn't the best selection on this particular weapon, but just that satisfaction of hitting those heads with a precision weapon and getting some degree of a benefit, a pretty large degree of a benefit, actually. If you do manage to land half of that magazine, you end up getting 20% increased damage for 11 seconds, and then you can kind of go on a bit of a rip. But, that's kind of a niche pick, of course. And, knowing me, I'd probably enjoy going for that golden tricorn, just like you said, Kill Clip with some synergy with Rapid Hit and Tunnel Vision. Headstone. Headstone is fun. And, of course, you can block reses with Headstone if you choose to do that in Trials as well. So you've got options. But I do still agree that this weapon is probably pretty niche right now in the meta until they do something else with it.
Yeah, it's weird because it almost feels like it was created for Headstone, but the perks are not the perks, the stats are so bad that I wouldn't feel comfortable relying on this weapon without utilizing it for something special, like having Golden Tricorn and to keep up your Radiant 4 taps, stuff like that. Whereas Headstone, you're just relying on the gun at base, and I just don't trust this gun at base, having used it a little bit. And I actually have the Tunnel Vision Kill Clip roll, and I don't know, it just doesn't feel right to me. Something about it is just off, and that's the way Destiny is sometimes.
You know what I compare it to? Because I think this is a valid note, is sidearms before, on M&K at the very least. I don't know how it felt recently on Controller.
Yeah.
But on M&K, they were talking about, and I agree, that the hit detection, especially at the latter end of the range spectrum on sidearms, and that's the reason why they buffed them in the way that they did, to make them feel better, to make them connect better within their desired range of engagement. And that's how I kind of feel about, rapid fire scout rifles as well. So, eventually I'm sure the weapons team is going to rotate, back through these, since usage numbers, I never see these things in the Crucible. So it'll be interesting to see if, they end up taking the sidearm treatment, applying it to this, if I'm understanding, the issue correctly to begin with. But it'll be interesting to see them, because I do actually like the actual archetype. Okay. I'm sorry, the subfamily itself.
Yeah. Well, let me hear what you think about prolonged engagement. This SMG, it's got a bad rap, I feel like, online, and I played around with some time on it. I actually got a roll really similar to the one I'm going to suggest here, and I have thoughts about it, but I want to hear your thoughts first. I want to hear what you think about prolonged engagement.
All right, prolonged engagement. Prolonged engagement is the new Stasis lightweight SMG. It's a 900 RPM, 0.73 second TTK against all resilience values. It has nearly the lowest range stat in lightweight SMG. For comparison, Funnelweb's 39 is 14 range higher than this SMG, which is only 25 range at base. Escape velocity is 1 lower, but importantly has 1 more zoom. So what do you think about the perks on this particular weapon?
Oh, man. Well, I'm really excited to talk about one perk in particular, but before I get to that, just that range stat alone is just killer. We were talking about it pre-show, and just I feel like that has become the focus of everything online. It's like it's never going to hit the range of Funnelweb. Like, it will never feel as good. And this has rangefinder, but so does Funnelweb, and so we land in this weird spot where you've got to make it work in some other way. And for me, that other way is target lock. And so we talked about it on Lobrock and how it's not really worth it unless you get the perk to bug out. But here it is kind of worth it no matter what. And I got the roll. I got the roll that had target lock, which is with also as high as range as you can get on this thing at 50, which, you know, is nowhere near what Funnel Web can max out at, but it's enough to make me use it at a distance where I'm just not dead immediately from a shotgun when I'm trying to SMG someone. And so what happens here, we talked about how target lock works. You got to use a percentage of your mag, and we added it up with this one using Mossy's spreadsheet, and it activates after 5 shots, and then if you hit all your crits, you essentially save 1 bullet no matter the situation. So it lets you hit 10 bullets, only take 10 bullets up to 8 Resil for a 0.6 TTK, and it lets you kill in 11 bullets up to 10 Resil for a 0.67 TTK. It'll even kill Overshield Titans in 13 bullets for 0.8 second TTK. So all pretty good numbers. Now, they're not like crazy out of band, you know, like I said, you're only saving just a single bullet, so it's nothing crazy. We mentioned the original TTK is 0.73 seconds, so just one more bullet in that optimal TTK if you're going against 10 Resil. So it would be 11 bullets with target lock rolling at 0.67, whereas originally it was 0.73. So, you know, it's just fractions of a second, but I'm telling you, I feel the difference when I'm laying into someone. And I also felt what Mossy was saying, where it would just proc randomly too soon. And all of a sudden I see yellow, like it's like you just see your damage go up and you're like, okay. And you just start shredding. So it's a nice little bump for free. You don't have to do anything except for be good, and you're rewarded for being good and hitting your crits. So I really like target lock on this one. I can't speak to whether I like it better than on Lobrock because, you know, it's where it's bugging out. But even if it doesn't bug out on this one, the point is you're getting your kills faster. No matter what resilience, like no matter the circumstance, you're going to get the kill faster. And I love that about target lock on this weapon.
Yeah. Agreed. And so you see that we've got some offhand strike combos as well.
Yeah, well, what I was thinking is, so Offhand Strike is only available on a few weapons, and we talked about how just insane it is. And I was thinking in my head, I was like, well, what if like you started, like what could rock with Offhand Strike to make this thing worth it? And for me, like the things that stuck out were Adagio and maybe multi-kill clip. I wasn't sure. Adagio would turn this basically into an aggressive frame, 720 RPM with 9 bullets to kill. But why that's important for Offhand Strike is you have to hit fire, and I'm like, am I really going to hit fire 11, 12 bullets, you know, and land all crits with Adagio? I just don't think I'm going to do that. And so maybe if I turn it into a slower RPM and have Offhand Strike rolling, maybe that would play out. Then the other option is to run multi-kill clip, which is just a very basic upping your time to kill value just by damage, and it'll proc almost the same time as Offhand Strike. You get the kill, it activates, you reload, you got multi-kill clip and Offhand Strike going. That makes it a 0.6 TTK with 9 crits in one body, or an adjusted TTK, which is probably what's going to happen because, let's be real, you're hip firing with Offhand Strike. But that's still an adjusted TTK of 0.73, which is, if you remember, your original TTK, 0.73 for all headshots. So, hip firing, and I think that's only 50% accuracy with that TTK. That isn't bad. Like, I would take that. And so I actually think that that's a really interesting combo. I'm not sure that's going to be my recommended roll. Just as a kill clip alternative, that would be what I'd go for. So yeah, that's like my alternative roll to the target lock. But I'll go ahead and say, if I were speccing this thing out for target lock, I would capitalize on the range as much as possible. Extended barrel. I like having a little bit of recoil control. That's actually something I didn't mention earlier, is that prolonged engagement has 85 recoil direction. A lot of these SMGs have like 90, 95. Extended barrel takes that recoil direction up to 95. And then I'd run high cal because I'm hitting so many shots at once there. Dynamic sway, which is going to be even more beneficial on this weapon than the auto rifle we talked about earlier, because you're maxing out your accuracy by the time you're done with those 10 shots. And then target lock, just so it takes me one less bullet in an engagement with a range masterwork, of course, and probably a targeting adjuster. That's how I would spec it out. And I have almost the exact roll. Let me read my roll real quick because it is just so similar. I couldn't believe how lucky I got when I got a target, because it's the only thing I have target lock on. So I have extended barrel, armor piercing rounds, close to high cal. I got close. Then subsistence, which is the throwaway. I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, that would have been great with dynamic sway right there. But then I got target lock and a range masterwork. So it's nearly identical to the roll I wanted, and it feels really good. Like I took it out and I was like, hey, this thing isn't bad with target lock. And then I realized I had like the god roll as far as I could get with range, and I was like, okay, well, that's why it's competing. At least it's not going to be funnel web, but I like it.
Yeah, of course. And lightweight SMGs, they feel great. And you're right. I'm totally with you. A lot of these lightweight SMGs, a lot of these SMGs in general, have very, very good recoil direction. Extended barrel. If you're going into PvE, I love Arrowhead Break. Arrowhead Break ending up giving you plus 15 recoil direction as well, but also plus 10 handling. You know me, I'm a handling fiend. But otherwise, max range, even in PvE, obviously, because this thing is so deficient with regards to range. I like Eye of the Storm as well on an SMG for those similar reasons to similar, but obviously not the same as dynamic sway, just making that shot more consistent, making that kill, making that engagement more consistent for you, giving you a little bit of help. Killing wind, if you're on M&K in particular, where the recoil control is a little bit more or a little bit easier to master, right? Killing Wind is there to help you out if you end up picking rangefinder, or even just if you end up picking target lock. I'm right there with you though on this one. It's just that concept of, look, you don't have to build into what that SMG is gonna has unique about it. Yeah, I talk to people all the time about, hey, Ostringer is one of those hand cannons that you can get rangefinder and Eye of the Storm. Build into that. Yeah. But if you're not really building into that, there are snappy. If you're gonna put snapshot and rangefinder on it, there are snappier hand cannons to do that with. Yeah. Rose is a very different hand cannon to a degree, a different play style than Exalted Truth. Yeah. Those base stat packages and perk packages are different, and you can get unique things on Exalted Truth versus Rose, and also vice versa. So what this, the novelty in this is, first of all, Lord have mercy, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't even know, 15, the perks. It's you got so perks on perks on perks. There's so many perks, which is pretty consistent with, many seasonal, Vanguard or Gambit or, playlist weapons, because those playlists are meant to be, repeated more than pretty much anything, any activity in the game. But yeah, I'm right there with you with target lock, honestly. I just want to hit heads. That's really cool. Frenzy's there as well. Encore Killing Wind combination is really dope. Right. But,
giving that's so much range, because you get 5+ range for every Encore kill, and then plus 20 range from Killing Wind. That actually, I guess if you wanted to turn it into funnel web somehow, but even then, rangefinder is so
Rangefinder.
See, that's the thing.
Yeah, it's always on.
That's why I just skipped over all these perks, and I'm like, what can this thing do that the other SMGs can't? And it's got to be target lock. That's just that or Offhand Strike. Those are the two things. And so that's why I mentioned those combos with Offhand Strike, what could be interesting, because otherwise there's nothing here that's going to compete.
Exactly. There's nothing if you want a rangy, lightweight SMG, just just go get funnel
Yeah,
wear.
go run funnel
You know?
or go run
You know?
multi-mock if you got one. Like, just
That's
go
true,
run
too.
that. You pull out your multi-mock. If you need one in the kinetic slot, there you go.
Most definitely. And so, the last thing I'll say is I love the fact that, Bungie's always done this with these weapons. Doesn't matter who's been on the weapons team. It's fantastic because they're always definitely designing these weapons with intention to the point where, everything's not the same. Everything's not the same. It's, you end up finding a niche for that weapon, and if you end up playing with that, then you end up really enjoying it. Just enjoying what it can do differently than, another SMG that you also enjoy from that same subfamily.
That's why I love this game, honestly. Like, that's why I started doing YouTube stuff. That's why I'm even on this podcast, is because I fell in love with just different weapons and the weird things they do, and just narrowing in on just those weird niche things. Because it can, all of a sudden you find one that fits your play style, and you're like, like with the farewell sidearm. Like, that's the thing. Like, I was just like, there's no reason.
Totally.
But here we are. I love this thing. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You told me about it. I picked it up, and I was like, Oh, this suits me. The same thing with the glaive. Yeah. Judgment of Kelgarath.
Oh, yeah.
The same thing. I'm just like, oh, we got this up here. Oh, I can swap. I can swap fast like a shotgun. Are you telling me I'm about to be a glaive? Okay.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So that's super cool. Super cool. I completely agree.
Well, I am so curious about your take on the next one we got here, which is I'm not even going to try to say it. I'm going to let you say it. You take this one.
These weapons are crazy with the names. I think we just ran out. I think Bungie was just like, I think we just ran out of names, dog.
We're just going to start putting letters together and see what happens.
Right. Just see what happens. Fioritura 59. It's a void rapid fire sidearm. All right. 450 RPM. This thing is a spitter of spitters. 0.67 TTK at 10 resilience, right? Highest airborne effectiveness stat, which is something that's important to me as I play Hunter quite a bit. Very similar stats otherwise to the rest of the archetype.
Yeah.
You've got Golden Tricorn up there. You've got Kill Clip, but you've got the same results for optimal between the two, basically. So why not just go with Golden Tricorn? Am I correct in that?
Yeah. I just don't see a reason why, if you're going to need 5 crits no matter what, like, why not? It's the same thing as the Scout Rifle we were talking about earlier. It's like, why not just go for the ×1 Golden Tricorn? Because it's 7 seconds, and you still got that. It turns it into a 0.53 second time to kill with only 5 crits, and why not just lean into that? So
I'm sorry. Do I see a 0.4 seconds at Golden Tricorn ×2? Did I just see that?
Hey, this is my perk, and anytime I see Golden Tricorn on something, and this was the one weapon this season. This one, the machine gun, and there might have been one other, but it was mainly these two, the machine gun and the sidearm, because the sidearm really interests me because you have charged with light mods like surprise attack, where you can just do massive amount of damage stacking. Yeah, or you got Mechaneer's Trick Sleeves, which you could also use, but that's not going to work with Golden Tricorn. It's too many things to do. It's too specific. But Golden Tricorn ×2 isn't that hard to activate on something that's void when you got a void shoulder charge. And so what I would do is run it on a Titan. You get a kill, and then you just run in, get a shoulder charge within 7 seconds. Okay, now you're at 4 crits with 0.4 second TTK. But if you got charged with light, like say you picked up an orb or anything like that, all you have to do during that 4 seconds is reload your gun. Surprise attack activates. You got 35% damage buff from surprise attack, 50% damage buff from Golden Tricorn ×2, and you can do a 3 crit shot at 0.27 seconds if you stack all. Like, this is ridiculous, y'all, but
that's crazy.
I'm just saying,
because I saw the 0.4 and I didn't even see the 0.27.
I got my Golden Tricorn roll with Killing Wind. I'm gonna go in there. And you'll find the clip later on Twitter. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get the 3 crit 0.27 second kill because I have to. It exists and I have to do it.
Yeah. I feel it. Well, you already know me, but let's get to you first. You said,
oh yeah,
what would you want on your roll besides the Golden Tricorn?
So yeah, I'm gonna go for the Golden Tricorn. After using this thing for a bit, I really feel like I need stability, or I need something to control it, because I really struggled when I have like 3 rolls and I took some of them out, and I noticed I just needed more to control this thing. It was just all over the place. So I'd probably go small bore, ricochet, with Zen Moment is really the thing that sticks out to me in the last column. And I almost went for high cal in the second, but I need more stability. And so I'm gonna just crank it up. I'm gonna go stability, masterwork, small bore, ricochet rounds, get that stability to 90. And then I'm gonna add Zen Moment in that third perk because it's the only thing there other than maybe hip fire grip that's gonna help me out. But I feel like I'm an ADSer. That's how I'm gonna use this thing. So I'm gonna be using Zen Moment to kind of help me out a little bit more. And then Golden Tricorn for the damage stacking, so I can at least, at minimum, when I get a kill, get to that 5 crit, 0.53 second TTK. That sounds pretty nice. I can live with that even if I don't do any other damage stacking. That's how I'm going to run this thing.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, he's leading us into he's leading us into what I would run on this thing, and what would I even want when I already have it, ladies and gentlemen. It's crazy. It's crazy. You were the one that told me about it, right? You were the one that were we talking about it? Like,
I think either we were talking about it or your chat was talking about it, and they were like, "Hey, did you know this rolls this?" And then literally, like the next day,
yes. The next day, I picked it up from the gunsmith. I'm not talking about like a half, like a 3 out of 5, 3.5 out of 5, even a 4.5. I got a 5 out of 5. So check this. I'm super excited about this because you can roll that nasty combination on it, people. That nasty combination of hip fire grip and offhand strike on it. It's not enhanced, but it don't matter. It don't matter. This thing absolutely maps once you engage, accurately maps once you get it engaged. I've used it a little bit in the Crucible so far. I ended up getting hip fire grip, offhand strike, small bore, ricochet rounds, and a stability masterwork. This thing is disgusting. It is disgusting.
You got my roll with the perfect combo of the offhand strike. Man.
Yeah. It's very cool. It's very cool. And so, like, I am, not as well versed in how things stack. So I'm not sure about that freehand grip, but I do have that freehand grip on it to just continue to double down on that power fantasy of what that particular role,
lean in.
What this particular, exactly. Lean into it. That particular role is good at, and it is fun. It is fun, and it's void. And of course, to some degree, it engages with some void stuff. It's definitely hella fun. So I highly recommend it if you end up seeing, hip fire grip, offhand strike on this, especially if you end up getting some solid stability. Because I agree, it's a rapid fire sidearm, right? So it's gonna be spitting out those bullets. Stability is gonna be important. Range is not as important on these things. It's really just about stability and handling, according to my sidearm folks. I would highly recommend checking it out yourself.
Yeah, man, I'm so curious the distance you can get on that thing. Like I'm gonna go for the golden tricorn clip. I need you to go for the range clip on this because I want to see how far you can hit. Because not only is offhand strike giving its crazy distance, but we didn't really talk about hip fire grip giving that 1.2 times aim assist fall off distance, and then also it gives plus 15 aim assist on top. Like, it just does so much. And I know I don't look for hip fire grip on much, but combined with offhand strike,
exactly,
I just feel like it has unlimited potential. Like,
it feels multiplicative. I don't know how to explain it. It feels incredible.
That's
it feels
awesome.
incredible.
I can't wait to see the clips.
I'm going for it tomorrow. I'm glad you reminded me. I will be on tomorrow. I'll be going for it all day.
All right. Well, I think this brings the close to the show. Do not forget to like and subscribe to Destiny Massive Breakdowns on Twitter and all the other social media platforms. You can join us on Discord to give feedback about the episodes, leave us questions, or just let us know what you think about everything.
Yep. And remember, you can also connect to all things Destiny Massive Breakdowns at destinymassivebreakdowns.com, including Podcast versus Enemies hosted by Court, Impetus, and Sate Kaber, and Beneath Twin Suns, a Star Wars podcast hosted by Kit Kutch, of course, and Mercules. You'll find our social links and invites to join the conversation in the Discord, episodes new and old, the occasional guidepost, and more well-written resources right there. And for this episode 2 291. My name is Ill Physics, aka Tony, if you did not previously know me.
And this has been Lego, aka Legoli Flash. You can find me on YouTube and Twitter, and that's about it. And go watch Tony's streams. Go watch physics streams. It's so much fun. I can't wait to catch you in Gambit, man. Oh my gosh.
I love Gambit. Peace, everybody.
See you later.